afternoon, guys. We are live here from the Office of Ledger, and today I'm here with Dan and Roy.
Hey.
And today, Roy will take us into a deep dive into the Solana ecosystem, and we'll be learning about how to manage Solana with your Ledger device and how to withdraw funds from certain exchanges. So I hope you guys will enjoy, and see you soon.
Thank you for that introduction,
Thanks,
Wendy.
Wendy.
Appreciate it. So, hey everyone, good to have you all here. So, before we actually get started, let's first always just start with a little security reminder about your 24-word recovery phrase. Whatever you do, please make sure to always only keep it physically. Never enter it in a computer, never share it with anyone. Anyone who claims to be a Ledger employee and is asking for your set of 24 words, that's not us. Never, ever, ever share your 24 words with anyone. That being said, as Wendy indeed introduced, today we're going to be talking a little bit more about Solana and how to manage it with your Ledger device. So, first things first, we actually need to install the app. Now you can see I already have Ledger Live open. Currently it's on the Accounts tab, but I need to go to, yes, thank you. I needed the mouse. Apologies, everyone. I just need to go to the My Ledger tab, which I can find right here. Now, my Ledger device is going to ask if I want to allow a secure connection with Ledger. I need to approve that by clicking both buttons, and it is now opening. So from here, there's quite a bit of information that you're going to see. First off, you're going to see the OS version, also known as the firmware version, and you can see which apps are currently available, and here I can see which apps are installed. If at any point you want to uninstall an app, you can actually click on the trash can icon right next to it. Now, for this one, I'm going to go ahead and install the Solana app. So from here in the search bar, I would type Solana, and you can see it's right here, and I would click on install. Now, if you're using a Ledger Nano S, keep in mind that the Ledger Nano S does have a little bit less capacity for applications, so you may need to uninstall an application in order to make space for it. Now, when the loading is done, you can see the Solana app is now here. It is currently not open, by the way, yet, because you would first have to click both buttons to open it. Another little thing that I always like to show is do not open applications while you are in the My Ledger tab, because I'm just going to demonstrate what happens. Right now, I'm going to press both buttons. You'll see that the Solana application is ready, but suddenly the My Ledger tab will start saying this. In older versions of Ledger Live, it would actually automatically close the Solana application. So just a little note there. Now that being said, at this point, I need to go to the next step. And the next step is actually to add a Solana account. To do that, I can either actually go to reopen my Ledger. You can see the Solana app just closed itself. So there are two ways to do it from here. I can either go back to Solana and click on Add Account right here, or I can go to Accounts and right here in the top right corner, click on Add Accounts. From here, I would choose the cryptocurrency that I want to add, and of course, here we're going to be talking about Solana, and then press Continue. At this point, Ledger Live is going to send a request to my device to open the Solana app. To confirm that, I simply have to press both buttons, and now an important step is going to follow. Right now, Ledger Live is synchronizing with the Solana blockchain. At this point, it's basically checking, hey, does this user already have existing accounts? As always, that is of course based on the 24-word recovery phrase that is currently on the Ledger device. Now here you can see, aha, it spotted that I do have an existing Solana account with an existing balance as well. Now it's not done synchronizing just yet. It even found another existing Solana account, but with a 0 SOL balance. And after that it said, but that is all you have. After that you can only add a brand new account. Now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to add the one with an actual balance. Now to be able to tell accounts apart, I always recommend nicknaming your account. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and call it Sol Roy, because that is my name after all. From From here, I click on Add Account. Done. And you're going to see the Solana account added right here. Now I can click on it. I can see the balances. I can see, for example, if I'm staking or not, and how much is actually available. We're going to get back to staking later on, however.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you've been staking yourself, right?
I have indeed already been staking. Yes, that is correct. So that's why you do see delegated assets right there.
Okay.
But again, we'll come back to that.
All right.
Yep.
So what's next?
Next up,
How do I fund my account?
how do you fund your account? Exactly. So, as a matter of fact, for that, I could have also added a brand new account, but we can do it this way. It's all right. So, first thing that you need to do is indeed start receiving your very first Solana. In order to do that, there are two ways of doing this yet again. First off, you can use the receive button right here at the top of your Solana account, or on the left-hand side, you have a receive button right here as well. Personally, I would recommend using the receive button in the account because just a teeny tiny difference, it pre-fills the right account already.
So it's faster, right?
Exactly. It just saves you an extra little step.
Okay.
Now, from here, I am just going to close the Solana app real quick because I wanted to show something real quick as well. From here, I would simply press continue, and you're going to see that again, Ledger Live will request the Solana app getting opened. This basically just saves you having to scroll through the apps on your Ledger device, and you only need to press.
So you can start that flow with the app open or closed. It doesn't really matter, right?
Yep, correct. As a matter of fact, let me just reject it and show you what would happen instead if I already have it open.
Okay.
So I'm just going to close this again. I'm going to open the Solana app beforehand, click on receive, and you'll see that it just skips that step entirely.
Okay.
Now, speaking of steps, this one is actually very, very important. Because right now, you can see my Solana address right here. But you can also see it on my Ledger device. And this is an absolutely crucial step. See, your Ledger device is not currently exposed to the internet. The computer that I'm using, and that's displaying the address right here, is on the other hand. The thing is, your computer can, as a result, have malware on it, it can get hacked, is basically vulnerable to online attacks. And with that, someone could alter what is currently on my computer screen right there. Yeah, we definitely don't want that. So, because of that, your Ledger device, which is not actually connected to the internet, would show the correct address that actually belongs to your set of 24 words. So basically this, I know I can trust.
Trust your device, but not necessarily Ledger Live.
Exactly, you got it. Now, I basically at this point need to compare what's shown here versus what is shown on my device. And I actually can already see that this is indeed matching. So from here, what I would do is click on copy. It actually confirms that the address is copied here as well. And a neat little feature that Ledger Live actually has as well, if I clicked on copy, but what's actually in my clipboard, in other words, what I would actually paste at another time, does not match, Ledger Live actually gives you a warning for that. So that's basically just an extra little security measure to make sure that you are copying the correct address as well. Now, another tip that I'd like to give is I could actually already go ahead and approve this address, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I want my Ledger device to keep showing me this address. Why? I actually need to withdraw my Solana from an exchange. And I can keep an eye on if I'm pasting the correct address still this way.
Oh, it's more convenient that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just an extra little security measure that I like to take.
Okay, cool.
Now, of course, we need to withdraw our Solana from somewhere. So let's go ahead and actually do that. In order to do that, I already went ahead and logged into Binance. So you can see right here, I have 0.2 Solana, and I currently want to withdraw that. Now, in order to do that, I need to click on withdraw right here in the top right corner. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. From there, once it has loaded, apologies for that, I need to choose which coin I want to withdraw. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Solana. From there, I need to enter the address. So here, I'm going to go ahead and paste it. And again, at this point, I'm going to compare what I see right here versus what's on my Ledger.
And that's why
device.
you left it on the...
Exactly. So this way, I know if what's shown there is correct.
Got it.
Now another
Every
little-
character, right?
Every
single
character. Yes, correct. Now another thing to note is the network. Now in this particular case, for Solana, Binance at least does recognize, hey, that particular address format belongs to Solana. For some other coins, it might not do that. So please always make sure that you choose the right network. Are you trying to withdraw Ethereum to an Ethereum account? Make sure that you choose Ethereum as the network. If you're trying to withdraw Ethereum onto the Arbitrum accounts, make sure to choose the network Arbitrum. In this case, of course, choose Solana, because that is the native blockchain for Solana. And otherwise, you can actually not stake your Solana, which we will actually get back to later.
And Binance will detect the correct network automatically based on the address, but some exchanges might not. Like
Some exchanges might indeed not. And on top, for some coins, this might not happen either.
Okay.
For example, if you're trying to do this with VeChain, that would, for example, not be happening.
Okay.
So please do always pay good attention to the network you're going to use.
Cool. Best practice.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you do now?
So from the next step, I actually need to choose how much I want to withdraw. And I'm just going to go ahead and withdraw everything.
Wow.
Now you will see that there is a bit of a fee here. And this is not just the network fee, it's also a fee that might be charged by the exchange. Because Solana is actually known to be very, very cheap when it comes down to fees. Now from here,
So Ledger doesn't charge any fees at this point, right?
we do not charge any fees for withdrawing from an exchange. That is correct. Yep. So from here, I'm going to click on withdraw. I will press continue, and now I have to go through a bit of two-factor authentication. Keep in mind, normally you do not show this part to someone else, but this honestly is kind of a burner account that I don't really use personally.
All right.
So, first things first, apologies, but I'm going to bore you guys with a bit of 2FA here.
And if you guys have any questions, just go ahead. Prince is in the chat answering all your questions. It can be Solana questions or anything that you might want to know. Like, as usual, you can ask any questions you want, guys. Of course, this session is specific to Solana.
Yes.
And Roy, I think you're done with the verification.
Just need to do the email one as well.
Okay. So go ahead, guys. If you have any questions, again, Prince is in the chat answering all your questions. So go ahead. Feel free to let us know if there's an issue, if you have any question for Roy as well, or just any general crypto question. Back to you, man.
Correct. All right, so I have now gone through the 2FA, and that is, by the way, a general recommendation to at least have 2FA or second factor authentication when you use an exchange. Just a little security tip there. Now that that's done, though, the Solana is going to start making its way to my accounts. Now, normally Solana is extremely fast, and I'm really talking about like seconds. But it may take a little bit longer when you're withdrawing from an exchange. So if you're withdrawing from an exchange and you're noticing, it's taking some time, that would be the exchange that is still processing it at that point.
I see.
Yep. Now, with that being said, let's go back to Ledger Live. Now, of course, I didn't actually finish the receive flow because I wanted to still have that address shown. At this point, of course, I am done. So I will approve it. And now click on done.
Okay.
If you want to verify it again, by the way, at any point, you can always click here on re-verify as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So if you realize like, oh, wait, I didn't actually click copy, you just click on re-verify and you can go through it again.
Okay.
All right.
And does your address change on Solana?
On Solana, it does not change, which is an excellent question. So there are some cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, where you receive some funds on it. The next time you're going to click on receive, you'll have a brand new address. It still belongs to the same account, but with Solana, that's not the case. With Solana, just a single address.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
All right, now let's see if by any chance it has already been received. No, not yet, but that's to be expected.
Oh,
There it is actually. So
Very
that was
fast.
actually very quick after all. All right, perfect. Now, next up, let's actually take a look at sending Solana. Before that, though, there was one little thing that I wanted to mention, and actually, I have a perfect example of it right here. So when you notice that you received a teeny tiny amount of Solana, be a little bit wary of that. Now, receiving the Solana itself, not a problem, doesn't matter. But this is what we know as a dust attack. What it basically comes down to is this amount of Solana that I received is completely harmless, but if I click on the transaction, there would be a memo which you should not interact with. For example, here it says, visit the site to use your whitelist right now.
Okay.
This is a scam. What they're basically trying to do is get me to go to that website. I probably will be asked to enter my 24 words. You should never do that. Or you might be asked to sign a transaction that you should also absolutely not be signing, because they'll basically take your crypto from there.
And to be clear, this transaction wasn't from Binance, right? It has nothing to do with the transaction you just did.
Yep, not at all. This was just a transaction that I randomly received without actually ever doing anything for it.
Okay.
So if you see that, don't worry. You are still safe. Just make sure to not do anything with what's in the memo.
Or copying, of course, the addresses.
Or copy the address. Exactly. Okay. Do not use those. Exactly. Okay. Basically, just pretend that that transaction does not exist at all. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
All right. Cool. So, with that out of the way, let's actually take a little bit of a look at sending Solana via Ledger Live as well. Now, first things first, I actually first need to get a Solana address really quickly because I need to send it somewhere. So for that, if I go to accounts, you'll see that there's a little other address as well belonging to this guy, actually. So what I'm going to quickly do is get his receiving address without verifying on the Ledger device. Please, guys, never do that. I'm currently only doing that to quickly get the address. That's all. So from here, I just click on receive. I click on don't have my device and copy the address. Again, normally, please do not do this. Now, I'm going to go back to accounts and go to my own account. And from here, I again have the option to send directly in the account. But just like receiving, on the left-hand side, right here, I would also have the option to send. Again, though, if I do it in the account itself, I basically just already have the correct account pre-filled.
Okay.
Now here you can see the address, so I will be copying that right here. And you can see a memo field here as well. Now this one can be very important if you're sending Solana to an exchange. Why? Well, what exchanges might do, and keep in mind, not all of them do this.
Yeah,
but
it's very uncommon for Solana.
For Solana, it's pretty uncommon.
Yeah.
Correct. It's more common, for example, with XRP or Atom. Yeah, but I have seen it once or twice, I believe.
Okay.
So what this memo might come down to is there are some exchanges that use one single Solana address for many different users. The way that they would identify a transaction belonging to each user would be via the memo. So basically the way you can see it is address 1, memo 1, that means Bob is going to receive it. Address 1, memo 2, so same address, but different memo. Actually, that's not Bob, that belongs to John, etc., etc., etc. So it's just a way to distinguish who they need to credit for that transaction. So if you're sending to an exchange, just make sure if you do or do not need to use a memo for Solana. Very, very important.
So because we're sending between two Ledger accounts, between your account and my account, we don't need to worry about memos, right?
That is 100% correct.
Okay.
If you're ever sending to another Ledger user, indeed you would not need to do that.
Okay.
But if it's for an exchange, pay attention in that case.
Okay.
Now in this case, it is indeed to another Ledger user, so I can simply skip that part.
My Ledger.
Yep. Very nice color, by the way. Really like it. So from here, I would choose the amount that I need to send. And you might be noticing maximum spend was 1.3 Solana, even though here in the corner you can see I have about 7 Solana. It's because whatever you're staking, you can actually not use. And I am staking a bit of Solana. So that's why the amount is actually less that is spendable.
Okay.
Now, from here, let's go ahead and send 0.1 Solana to them.
Nice.
And you can also see the fees right here. You'll also notice that these fees are way lower than what we saw on Binance, which is to be expected.
Yeah, because Ledger doesn't charge anything.
We do not charge anything. The only fee that you can see right here is actually what is applied from the blockchain instead, from the network. So yeah, we don't actually take anything for it. That's correct. Now from here, I'd press continue. I can see the address here one more time, the amount that I would be sending, and the fees as well, and the total amount that would be spent that way. From here, I would press continue, and I would need to actually double check all the details. Now, the way that I would do that is first check the amount. Now, I remember it was 0.1 Solana. Next up, I would see who would be receiving it. Ideally, you'd still have it somewhere on your screen. So what I can actually do right now, which is a little bit of an awkward method, but I do enjoy doing it, is I actually am going to type it right here in the search bar of my browser, and I can still that way actually compare it again. Because just like with verifying a receiving address, you again need to check every single character in this case and make sure that the intended recipient's address is correct. If only one character is different, you're sending it to someone completely different.
Yep.
Very important to verify.
And anyone cannot reverse the transaction, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yes, we are indeed not a bank with cryptocurrencies. Once a transaction is done, it's done, and it cannot be undone or reverted or anything like that.
That's very important.
Very, very important indeed. Now I'm just going to very quickly take a good gander.
It looks good.
Yeah, that does look good. Yep, that is indeed correct. After that, I would click on approve. And from here, actually, the transaction is already underway. That is awkward. It may have been because I took a little bit too long. So let me just go ahead and retry that. 0.1 Sol, recipient, approve. And now the transaction's getting broadcasted.
So we learned that you should...
Yeah, if it takes too long, there may indeed be So here, of course, I was taking my sweet time because I'm also explaining everything. But yeah, here you can see that the transaction is now actually sent. And if I click on View Details, it's going to open a part of Ledger Live. And since Solana is super quick, this transaction may still only appear as pending here. But if I click on View in Explorer, you'll see that that transaction's already going to be confirmed. That is how quick Solana actually is.
It's fast.
It's really, really fast. As a matter of fact, even the confirmation status is just finalized. It's already been confirmed that many times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so we should be able to see it in my account now in Ledger Live.
That is correct. So if we go back to Ledger Live, I click like that. I go downstairs, and under the latest operations, you can see the transaction right here. And if I actually go back to Dan's account instead, you'll see that the transaction has already... Oops, not yet. I just need to synchronize it again in that case.
It looks like I got dust attack this morning as well.
Yeah, you sure did. That was not this morning, by the way. But yeah, you did get another little dust attack there. And the synchronization is a bit slow. There it is, yeah. All right, so here we can also see that Dan has correctly received the Solana as well. So that's how you make a Solana transaction.
And that's a quick tip, right? If you don't see the transaction, you see it confirm on the network, blockchain, but like Ledger Live doesn't reflect it, then you might need to click on the synchronize button.
Yes, exactly. When you click on the synchronize button, basically Ledger Live is going to retry and get the latest data from the blockchain.
Okay.
So, yep, exactly.
Cool.
Another thing that may in some case help as well is clearing Ledger Live's cache. And that's something that you can do by going into... Oh, the mouse has stopped working.
It's probably out of battery.
Battery? Okay. So you can actually... Oh, I think I actually just saw it working again. What was that? Okay.
Sorry, guys. A little technical issue here. Yep, we are officially out of battery.
Okay, not a problem. If you ever need to clear Ledger Live's cache, that can be done via settings, going to help, and right here you have the clear cache button. Normally you wouldn't need to do that, but if for any reason a balance isn't appearing, it could potentially be a caching issue. Not very common though.
Okay. Cool, now, so we've sent and received. What's next?
So I wanted to actually get a little bit more into the sending because we mentioned that Solana is extremely quick. And I also wanted to explain a little bit, very, very, very briefly why, because honestly, if I want to get into the deeper details of why it's as quick as it is, we'll be very busy here. But to go over it really quickly, Solana uses actually a pretty unique consensus mechanism, which is called proof of history. Now, what it actually partially entails is that in order to prove when a transaction took place, Normally, a cryptocurrency in the transaction would actually have a timestamp. So basically, if I look up a Bitcoin transaction, you would actually see the timestamp for it. With Solana, what it does instead is it actually, in the transaction hash, or the transaction ID, a part of that is actually going to tell the passage of time. It's basically going to say, this occurred just before this event. For example, before this particular transaction. And that is how it can very quickly actually see the order of time without needing to have that particular timestamp that takes up more data. So this is actually a part of why it is very quick. On top, Solana actually also doesn't have a mempool, which is pretty unique. A mempool is basically a place where normally all the pending transactions would be accumulated in order for a miner or a validator to start confirming them. The way it works with Solana instead is that if a validator did not get round to your transaction yet, it will simply pass it on to the next validator who will start validating transactions. So this system again allows it to operate very, very quickly, but there is one thing to note regarding the lack of a mempool. Now, if for any reason Solana is going to be very, very, very congested, it is possible that a validator might not be able to send your transaction to the next one correctly. This is very rare, but we have seen it happen in the past. In that case, your transaction might fail. You wouldn't actually lose anything, so don't worry, crypto is safe, but you would have to retry broadcasting the transaction again. It's an edge case, but we prefer to at least mention it.
Okay. So now we have some Sol in the account. What do we do with it?
Well, I mean, up to you, of course, but I personally am quite the enjoyer of staking. So let's actually take a look at how to stake your Solana.
And staking is, just for folks that don't know what staking is, it's a way to get rewards, right?
Exactly. So at the base, what it comes down to is usually you'll have to lock your crypto, but you would be participating to the network by delegating your crypto to whomever you think would make a great validator. Unless you like to be a validator yourself, but that comes with a lot of extra work. Within Ledger Live, you can actually stake quite a few different cryptocurrencies and delegate them. And Solana is one of those.
Cool.
So for that act of delegating, basically indirectly voting on who you think would make a great validator, you might get some rewards for doing it. Keep in mind, might. There are some things that really contribute to this, which we will actually explain as well.
No guarantees, but...
Exactly, yes. But let's actually take a look at how all of this works. So first things first, I'm in my Solana account again, and this is the screen from which I can start staking. There are actually two ways to do this. The first way is to click on Stake right here. The second way is actually via the Earn dashboard. If I click on Earn, here it comes. You have a Earn More Rewards button. You can actually see the different cryptocurrencies that you could stake. You can click on the stake button right here as well. It also gives you a lovely estimate of how much you might be earning over time with that as well. So pretty sweet.
Keyword being estimate, right? It's not a promise.
It's absolutely an estimate, and it also has a lot to do with which validator you would be choosing as well. We'll get back to that though, no worries.
Okay.
Now let's go back to the account, and here I'll click on stake. Now, first things first, I need to choose the validator that I'm going to delegate to. The validator is ultimately the entity that will be creating the blocks for the network, that will be validating the transactions. That's also where the word comes from. Now you can see that we actually, as Ledger, have a validator node. We do indeed actually create blocks for the Solana network, so you could actually choose to delegate with us. If you're interested in looking at other validators, you can click right here on Show All, and this will show the entire list of validators. Now that being said, I am personally definitely going to choose Ledger by Figment. And you can also see the commission that is being charged. We'll get back to that commission later on. Now from here, I will be choosing how much I'm going to be staking, and there are some things that you need to know about this. First things first, make sure to never stake your entire available balance. Whatever you are staking is locked. You cannot use it for anything, including transaction fees. See, at some point later in the future, you might want to stop staking. In that case, you need to sign a transaction in order to do that. That transaction requires fees. If you don't have the fees, the crypto to pay for those fees, well, essentially your stake Solana is kind of stuck in that sense.
Yeah, until you top up your account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way to resolve that is indeed to just add a little bit more Solana to your account, and from there it should work again. As a matter of fact, if you get an error message saying something along the lines of a network issue when you're trying to unstake your Solana, the chances are pretty big that you may need to add a little bit more Solana to your account.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind. So we mentioned that Solana that's locked is not going to be usable. And even when you stop staking, it will not be usable for a little bit as well. We'll actually get back into that a little bit later on because we are also going to show you how the unstaking part works. That being said, let me actually just go ahead and get to it and start staking. So I'm going to go ahead and choose 0.1 Solana.
And you can start with a very small amount, right?
You can start with a very small amount. Okay. That is correct.
That's good.
So you don't need to start with $100 worth of Solana. It can definitely be a smaller amount.
Okay.
From here, I press continue. And now here, there might be some information that might look a bit strange here. So let me just break this down real quick. So first things first, you'll see delegate from, and you'd expect that to be your address. Actually, that is not your address. My address is actually shown under new authority. You might be wondering, how do you know? Well, I kind of recognize my address. That's actually all there is to that. Basically, with Solana, the way it works is that you're going to lock your Solana into another account, which is basically run via a program. A program is essentially kind of the same thing as a smart contract, except it's running on Solana. So I'm essentially sending my Solana out of my normal address and into a different account. That is why I'm seeing delegate from right here. That is the accounts that I will be delegating from.
Okay.
The new authority is my address. The reason for that is this address is basically the one that will be in control of the address that's being delegated from. That's normal. My address should be in charge of that new account that is staking.
Okay.
And lastly, you'll see vote accounts. That's basically the address of the validator. In other words, Ledger by Figment's node in this case.
Okay, makes sense.
So at this point, I do again need to compare what's on my Ledger device with what's on my computer screen. So I'm taking a look. The delegate from looks good. The amount deposit, that is correct. New authority, I can see that that is indeed correct. Yep. And lastly, who I am voting to.
The Ledger by Figment.
Yep, that is also correct. From here, I approve. And I took a little bit too long again. All right, this is what we call the demo effect. All right, let me just go through it a bit quicker. And now it should be working. There we are. All right, so now I've successfully delegated my assets, so I should be starting to get some rewards, right? No, not yet, actually. So if I now actually close this, I will just click on synchronize because it will likely need to synchronize real quick. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's not there yet. I'll do that just a few more times until it is visible. Okay, it's not.
But you do see the transaction that delegated already.
Yes, that is
So
correct.
you see that one?
And now it's also
Yes,
visible. Now I did already have a separate stake to Ledger by Figment, so that's why you're seeing it twice. But what you will see here is that it says activating. That's important. See, in Solana's case, when you start staking, you will actually still not get any rewards for at least the first 3 days. This is what we call the activation period, where your stake is basically already locked but you cannot actually get rewards for it yet. So after 3 days, this should change from activating to active, as you can see just above it. At that point, you should start getting your rewards.
Okay, so if you don't see any rewards at this point, it's perfectly normal. It's just still activating. You have to wait, what did
Correct.
you say, 3 days-ish?
Yes, roughly 3 days.
Okay.
Yep. Speaking of rewards, there are actually some things to discuss there as well. Because what you'll notice immediately is, hey, there is no claim rewards button right here. And that is to be expected. With Solana, what actually happens is any rewards that you're getting is added to your delegated balance. To give a really good example is at the top here, you see that I'm staking 4.3233 Solana. That's not how much I actually started with. I actually started that stake with 4 Solana. That means the 0.32 Solana that's there on top, those are the rewards I've been accumulating. Okay. So you cannot directly notice like, oh, wait, where are my rewards? But we do actually have a solution for this to make sure that we can present it in a way that's a bit more clear at least. For that, we have the Earn tab. So if you go to the Earn tab right here on the left, from here, you can actually see the amount of rewards that you have been getting over time. So if I scroll down, you can see right here, the amount of Solana that I've staked. And here you can see I've had rewards worth 0.43 Solana in total.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
And that is over all the separate delegations as well.
Okay, great.
So that's the best way to keep track of that in Ledger Live. Now, there are also other ways that you could use. You could, for example, use Solana Beach. It's a popular block explorer for Solana, which also shows all the rewards that you've been accruing over time. That being said, in Ledger Live, this is the most accessible way to see it.
Yep.
All right. Another thing to keep in mind for rewards is the commission. So previously, we saw that the Ledger by Figment node had a commission of 7%. A commission comes down to this is an amount that the validator is going to keep. It's basically a part of the rewards that you could have gotten, but that won't be given. Now, the reason for this is actually pretty legitimate because ultimately, running a node, you need hardware, you need electricity, you need to keep everything running. That has costs associated to it.
Especially Solana nodes, like the pretty high maintenance.
I did not actually know that part.
Yeah.
So that honestly gives it all the more reason then. So that is why indeed there is such a thing as a commission. Now, keep in mind that there are validators out there that charge a 100% commission. What that means is you can delegate to us if you like, but you are not going to get anything for it. That's also part of why we said you may get rewards, but it doesn't need to be the case. And this is an example of where it wouldn't be. If you have a 100% valid commission validator, you're not getting rewards, period.
Okay.
Another thing to keep in mind when you're staking Solana is slashing. Now, in proof of stake, validators are expected to do a good job at staying online, validating transactions correctly, but there could be a time where a validator did not do their job correctly. For that, they can get punished. And actually, not only they are getting punished. It's going to be the validator and everyone that delegated to that validator. So you can actually lose a small amount of Solana that you're staking. So please, whenever you're staking Solana, do actually do your own research into that validator as well, just to make sure that they are indeed trustworthy in that.
Or use Ledger.
Or use Ledger. But yeah, it is always recommended to at least do your own research. That's just the note that I wanted to end on there.
Yep, that's good advice.
Yep.
So what's next?
So next,
We've staked, we've checked the rewards. We know that it takes 3 days, right, to start receiving your first rewards.
Yep, correct.
But what if in the future you want to stop staking for whatever reason?
Yep, correct. I mean, maybe at some point you want to sell a part of what you're staking. So indeed, the next part would be unstaking your Solana. And this actually comes in 2 parts. The first part, I'm going to be using my own ledger device because that is just going to be deactivating your stake. In order to do that, I'm just going to go back to my account. And here we are. You can see my different delegations. So I'm going to go ahead and actually stop this delegation. You can see you do need to do that one by one by one. Just a little note there. So from here, I'd click on deactivate.
It takes a bit of time sometimes for the button to become accessible.
Okay.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask you as well is every single time you stake more Sol, that will create a new account, right? A new
yes,
account.
that is correct. And thank you actually for pointing that out. That I did want to say that, but forgot. So thanks. Indeed, whenever you're staking and you want to stake more Solana, you will need to create a separate staking account. Remember when we were looking at delegate from, you basically need to create a new address for that. Of course, that's going to be under the same account. And that's also why you can see from me that I've ledger by Figment there twice, because I need to create a separate stake. You can indeed not add more to an existing delegation. You need to create a brand new delegation instead.
Okay. But that doesn't have any impact on rewards eventually.
No, it would not. Indeed. Correct.
It's the same, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so it looks like the continue button is available.
All right, so just press continue. I need to have the Solana app open, which I already had. And here you can see the deactivating of the stake. So this is indeed that delegate from address. Of course, this one was different because it was a separate, different delegation. And I simply need to approve it. That's all there is to it.
Cool.
Keep in mind, that has a transaction fee associated to it. So if you get a network error, you may need to add a little bit more Solana to it. From here, I would approve it. Transaction is being broadcasted. Might take just a second. And now the deactivation has started. You might be thinking, what do you mean by started?
Yeah, is it available or not yet?
Exactly, it is not.
Okay.
So just like when you start staking Solana, you will have a 3-day waiting period. During these 3 days, and you can now see that deactivating is visible. During those 3 days, you're not going to generate any rewards. But your Solana is also not available to you yet. After those 3 days, you can actually go to the next step. And that is where I actually need to quickly switch devices. So I'm just going to take just a second. So this is going to be empty for just a moment because I will need to unlock a different ledger device. Very pretty color, actually. Really appreciate it. And here we are. So this is actually another device. And I'm going to also open the Solana app on that device. Now, why did I switch devices? Because I need to go to a different account where we actually already have an account that has deactivated a stake. You can see this stake right here is inactive. What that means is the 3 days have passed. I can now actually get my Solana back.
Okay, that's the last transaction before the coins become available again. Basically.
Exactly, it's the last transaction before it is on your own address again.
Got it.
So, how to do that? You can see the amount that is withdrawable right here. From here I would go to Manage, click on Withdraw, not on Activate. I would press Continue. And you can see that stake withdrawal is visible on my device, and I can see the amount that I am withdrawing as well. You can also see where I'm withdrawing it from. And here I can click on Approve. And with that, I'm now going to get this Solana back on my usual address. That is actually the 2 steps to get your Solana back from having staked it.
Okay, cool. And when you do this, it's immediately available, right? After the transaction has confirmed, of course, but you don't have to wait another 3 days.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
After this, it is indeed pretty much instant. As a matter of fact, with a little bit of luck, you can see the received is starting to show up already.
Okay.
Here it's not showing as confirmed yet, but it has actually already confirmed at this point. It's just Ledger Live needs to resynchronize that part.
And then the balance will show up.
And now it is.
It shows you that Solana is really fast.
It's extremely fast.
And the coin should be reflected in my available balance, right? At this
And
point.
that is correct as well. It is now under your available balance again.
Perfect.
Yep, pretty sweet.
Yep, that's good. So we've seen staking, we've seen sending and receiving. Some folks know that Solana also supports tokens and NFTs. Are
Yep.
those supported in Ledger Live or not? And is it safe to send tokens to your Solana account in Ledger Live?
Very good point. So, first things first. Is it supported in Ledger Live? Unfortunately not. No. Can you, however, use your Ledger device to manage any kind of Solana-based token or Solana-based NFT? Yes. Just not via Ledger Live.
So if I send you USD token, for example, so if I send that to your Solana address in Ledger Live, you will not be able to see those tokens, but the coins will be safe, right? That's correct?
That is correct. So you will need not see it in Ledger Live, but you would still be able to see it by using what we call a third-party wallet. Basically comes down to using it with a different software than Ledger Live. And for this part, I'm actually going to go ahead and use my own device again. And that is because I do actually have some what are called SPL tokens.
Cool.
Same thing with the NFTs, actually. So I can show that really quickly.
So if you guys send tokens to your Solana account, you don't see them in Ledger Live, don't freak out. It's normal. Ledger Live cannot detect those tokens or NFTs, but you can access and visualize those via a third-party wallet, which we'll demonstrate in a second, right?
Yes, that is correct. And now when we're looking actually at Solana, there are two third-party wallets of note, which are Solflare and Phantom. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at how to use each of those.
So I'm thinking we could show Solflare, and then I think there are questions, right, Prince, for
One or two questions.
one or two questions?
One or two questions.
Maybe we can take those questions and...
I guess you already
All right. In that case, maybe I'll just use Phantom because I know exactly where to find the NFTs after that.
the Solflare is also an option then.
Yeah, but do keep in mind you can absolutely use Solflare as well.
Okay.
Now, Dan, I'm just going to let you type the password because I have no idea what it is. All right.
I hope that's
that.
That's
I
the
didn't
one.
see it.
Yeah, that's the one.
All right. So right now we actually have Phantom open, but this is actually not an account associated with my Ledger device. So that is actually pretty important. In order to add it, I actually need to click on plus, which says add/connect wallet. And from here, you're going to see connect hardware wallet. Use your Ledger hardware wallet.
Can I import my recovery phrase? My Ledger
Please
recovery phrase?
never do that.
Okay.
Keep in mind, your 24 recovery phrase should never be on a computer.
Okay.
Not in any app, not as a picture, not as some kind of encrypted file, nothing. It should never be entered on your computer, it should never be entered on your smartphone. Heck, it should never be entered on your Nintendo Switch or any device that can connect to the internet. So please keep that in mind. Never enter it anywhere else but on a piece of paper, or if you have it on a steel backup. Very, very important. So yeah, never use the import secret recovery phrase for your Ledger device.
Okay.
Instead,
Just connect.
connect hardware wallet.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, of course, my Ledger device is already open, and I already have the Solana app open,
Which is important.
which is very important because Ledger Live can make the request to your Ledger device to open an application. But Phantom or Solflare, they cannot. So please make sure that you already open the app first.
Yep.
Now, from there, I click on Connect. I need to choose the device that I want to connect and click on Connect here. Ledger Nano X connected. From here, I would press Continue, and I would choose what I want to connect. Now, in this case, it's only going to be Solana. Pretty cool feature from Phantom. You can actually also use it for Ethereum and Polygon, but of course, that is not with the Solana app. You would then need to use the Ethereum app instead.
Okay.
But for now, we're looking at how to use Solana, so let's continue with Solana instead.
Okay.
So right now, it's connecting the account. Basically, the same thing as when Ledger Live was synchronizing. It's checking existing balances.
Okay.
It is able to tell me, hey, we actually found 2 accounts with activity. Now, from there, I can select the accounts And I'm going to go ahead and only add this one, which you can indeed see I have Solana on it.
So that's the same account we saw in Ledger Live, right?
That is the same account as the one that we saw in Ledger Live.
Okay.
And you might be thinking, wait, didn't you have almost 7 Solana there? Yes, Phantom is not detecting what I'm currently staking. So that's why the balance looks different.
Okay.
But it is the same account. I also just recognize the characters, so I do know that is the same one. From here, I press continue, and from there, the account is added.
Perfect.
I click on done, and I can go back to opening Phantom. From here, you can see my ledgers connected, and you can immediately see I have Solana, but I also have 2 tokens on Solana.
Okay.
So those are immediately visible here as well.
Okay.
Same thing with Solana-based NFTs. They are immediately visible in Phantom as well. In order to do that, you need to click on the 4 little squares right here. And you can see that I indeed hold some NFTs right there. Yeah, very cute.
A Solana rabbit. Okay.
Yep. So that is actually pretty much it for what we wanted to demonstrate for today. Now, I believe there were some questions, Punjab?
Yes, the first question is, can we store SPL tokens on Ledger Solar Trash?
So yes, we indeed can. So you can use either Solflare or Phantom wallet for it. Now you can also use Phantom, for example, with decentralized exchanges on Solana. For example, if you want to use Radium, you can connect Phantom to it and send transactions with your Ledger device for those kind of swaps.
Any hope that Solana tokens will be integrated into Ledger Live in the future, or NFTs?
For the moment, I've unfortunately not heard any news on that. So for now, unfortunately, I have no information related to that.
So it might, but we don't have a timeline.
There is a chance, but unfortunately, I can really not guarantee anything there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a second question.
Next one is, so many questions.
Thank you guys, by the way, for asking all the questions.
Yeah.
And for joining in as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
While staking Solana, if you stake again, do you stake it in the same account or will it go to a different pool?
It would actually go into a different program. So whenever you start staking, you create a program account, and that will always be a new one. So yeah, it would be different.
So every single time we said that right before,
Yep.
but every single time you stake a new balance, it creates a different section in the Solana, the staking
massive
section,
network.
right?
Yep.
And each section is actually a separate sub account, which sole purpose is just for staking, correct?
Yep, correct.
So you will have
here, for example, there are basically 5 different program accounts for staking.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Cool.
That's it.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have any final words about Solana, maybe crypto security and how to stay safe?
One thing that I always like to recommend is, guys, always be careful what you're signing. If you have a platform that's promising you a 100x return or anything, be very careful. That sounds way too good to be true. And just beware of scams. Never, ever enter your 24-word recovery phrase. And if you receive a random NFT on Solana, which does exist, or you receive a teeny tiny amount of Solana with a little note in the memo, just do not interact with it.
Awesome.
And I think that's pretty much it, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Prinjol, for manning the chat. Thank you guys for jumping in the stream as well. Hope you enjoyed the session. If you missed it, this is recorded, so you can come back and watch it again. It's all about Solana. We'll be back on Thursday.
Tomorrow, yeah, I think
tomorrow.
so.
Yeah. So you guys, you might be.
This time I'm not able to,
Okay.
but yeah.
So Felix will be back, guys, on Thursday, so tomorrow, and we'll have a live on Friday as well. And Prinjol and I will be back on Monday. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments or wait for the next stream to post your questions. And in the meantime, don't get scammed. Okay, don't share your 24-hour recovery phrase. Roy, again, thank you so much for the lesson. That was super
my
interesting.
pleasure.
And see you for the next one.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day.